Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session number 6. It's a session that I specifically like as a coach. The topic of the day will be the manager coach. So, how do we use that way of being a coach in our practice as a manager? The topic that we are going to cover today, we're going to look at definitions again, and they are going to be quite important this time because it's important for me to know the origin of coaching, where it comes from, to understand the essence and the mindset that we need to have when we are acting as a coach. We're going to put some focus on the mindset of the manager coach, the posture of the manager coach. We're going to talk about tools. We have seen some tools all along the preceding sessions. We will do a quick recap on them and focus more specifically on motivation. And we will finish by looking at the 10 steps of what a manager coach does, and there will be an exercise at the end on these 10 steps. So coaching is a very, very trendy word. I mean, nowadays we have the impression that everybody is a coach. We hear that word all the time, whereby 20 years ago this word was almost not existing at all. Here I tried to put on the slide some examples, but there are many, many more. Today we see some coaches, of course, the sport coaches, like the guy on the top left, the soccer coach. But we've got some coaches in fields that we could not even imagine. In fashion, we've got some fashion coaches. We've got some home decoration coaches. We've got some health coaching. We've got some coaches, of course, for fitness. And we even see some financial coaching and in other fields where this word was not associated usually to the specific field. So what is the commonality between all these different coaches? To have an answer for that, we need to have a look on the origin of the word coaching. It comes from this carriage that you see here, pulled by horses. Originally, it comes from an Hungarian word, kosi, and kosi means that carriage. It is that carriage pulled by horses. And the French people, they derived the Hungarian word, into a French word, the cocher, le cocher. Le cocher is the guy who is actually driving the carriage. And holding the horses. This is le cocher. And the English, they took this French word and to make the word coach, that comes from le cocher. And the coach is the guy that drives this carriage to bring the people. So what is actually the role of that guy, the real cocher, the one that drives the horses? There is a client coming to him and he says, I want to go from here to a destination, and I know where I want to go. I want to go to the point B, and I want you to bring me over there. And the cocher says, okay, no problem, get inside of my carriage and I'm going to bring you to your destination. The coach, it is what he does. You have an objective, you want to reach it, and you want to be accompanied for it. You know where you start, you know where you want to finish, and there is a way to go to be there, and the coach says, yes, I'm going to bring you there. So this is basically what all these people are doing. The sport coach says, you want to win the tournament? Come with me, I'm gonna bring you to winning the tournament. You want to redesign your house? Come with me, I'm going to help you redesign your house. You want to lose weight, or you want to stop smoking, or you want to be fit? Come with me, I'm going to bring you there. But this is not enough to qualify what actually a coach is in the sense of a professional coach like I am, and like the mindset of the manager coach. For that, we need also to go into a bit of history. And the first guy who was the first coach ever, even if it is only from 20 or 30 years ago, actually in history, this guy, maybe you know him, Socrates, who was the famous philosopher, he was the first coach ever because he said, if you have a problem, you come to me and I'm not going to give you the answer. No, because I don't know. I'm just going to ask you questions, and with my questions, you're going to discover the answer inside yourself. He called it the meiotics, which means giving birth to the spirit, giving birth to the mind. So, and this is the second element of the coach. The coach is not there to bring the solution himself. The coach is there to help people to give birth to their own solution because this is the best solution. If it is mine, it will not be the most appropriate for you. You need to discover yours, and I'm there to help you do it. So it's not only accompanying the people, it is also helping them to find solutions by themselves, to get to the conclusion by discovering it by themselves and not as a consultant by bringing the solution. So, why did we create coaching? Actually, for a long period of time, when you needed a service or help of any kind, you had two possibilities. You could either ask to somebody who had a technicality to come and do it for you, being a consultant, an expert in something, a plumber, a carpenter. You were coming to see these people and say, I pay you and you give me the solution. I don't know, I don't want to know how you do it. It's not my problem. I just pay you for a service. Or we also needed some other kind of services where we actually needed somebody to accompany us, somebody that would be more into the psychological dimension, a support. It was a therapist, it was a priest eventually. So people who were just there to listen to us and to help us go through something. So for a long period of time, depending on your problem and what you needed, you were going to see the first one or the second one. And some people said, yeah, but actually, I would like to have somebody that knows how to do both. I would like to have somebody that helped me reach my objective. But I also want somebody that listens to me, that takes me into account, and that helps me find the solution by myself. I want a combination of both. And this is how we created the field of coaching. In the 80s in the US, it arrives around the 80s, the 90s in Europe. And these people, they constantly navigate between the two fields. They have an expertise, but at the same time, they are not going to provide it. They're not paid to provide that expertise. They use that expertise to help you find your own solution and to listen to you. So as a definition, John Whitmore is one of the fathers of coaching. He used to be a car racer, a professional car racer that became a coach for sport people. And he wrote the first book about coaching. And he says, coaching is unlocking people's potential. People have inside themselves the potential to do something. The coach is there to reveal it, to unlock it. And the purpose is for people to maximize their performance. We help people to learn rather than teaching them. So this would be one of the basic definition of what coaching is. And we could see here the analogy already with the manager coach. We have some people, they have some potential. We're there to unlock it so that they can maximize their performance. And we're not there only to teach them, even if teaching is part of the role, but we're also there to get them to learn by themselves. So if we think about the different roles that you have as a manager when it comes now to you, if you see it by focusing on the solution as the consultant or focusing on the relationship itself, there are different roles that you can have. The expert, as we've seen, you remember in the space shuttle, in the rocket, the expert is really the basic, where we're only focusing on solution. But you can also be a consultant, where you need a relationship with the people. You are a trainer, where you're going to provide some knowledge, and you need to get to know the people to provide them that knowledge. You can be a mentor, where you're going only to share your experience and your knowledge because you're more senior and you're going to explain to the more juniors your experience so that they can learn from it, maybe also by watching you. The coach is even more into the relationship, but still within focusing on the solution. And the confident would be only focusing on the relationship. The content is not very much the problem for the confident. It is just the nature of the relationship which is important. As a manager, you're having all this combination of roles that you take. So if we look at the different components of what a manager coach does, is actually he needs to have a mindset. We'll come back to it in a minute. There is a certain way of thinking to be a manager coach. There is a certain way of being on top of the way of thinking. There are some tools and techniques. There are lots of them. We're not going to go through these techniques because this could take days and months. There are libraries about tools and techniques. We're going to cover a few ones. And all this, the purpose of all this is really to enable people to become autonomous. And to grow and to get their top performance. So if we start with the mindset, we have already seen some of these just before. What we say is that as a manager coach, you need to have a set of beliefs. There are things that you need to believe in to be a manager coach. The first one that we've seen was with Socrates, you remember. The answer is already inside the people. I cannot prove it scientifically. I cannot open the head of somebody and say, oh, I can see that the solution is there. It is not possible. It's a belief. I believe that people can find the solutions by themselves. It's a basic belief that we need to have to be a manager coach. Everybody has a potential. Sounds easy to say, but when you think about specific people and you say that employee's got some potential, sometimes say, yeah, but this person has been doing the same job for 20 years and I'm not sure. Yes, this person has some potential, and our role is to reveal it, is to discover it, to help the person find it. Here again, I cannot prove that the person's got some potential. It's a belief that I have. It's a fundamental belief about mankind that everybody has the possibility to grow. Sometimes it's a big potential, and sometimes it's a little potential that people have. And the third belief that we need to have is that the better the relationship is with my employee, the better the trust is going to be, and the better the performance is going to be. Here again, it's a belief. Some managers, they say, people just have to comply. I don't need to have a relationship with people for them to comply and to perform. Yeah, we can have performance, but if we want a high performance, we need to get into a good, strong relationship. Another item concerning the mindset is the McGregor theory. McGregor is one of the psychologists in the 50s in the US that developed that theory that says you've got two types of behaviors in people. There is the X theory, and the X theory says people are naturally lazy. By nature, people want to avoid work as much as possible. If you don't supervise people, they don't operate. You need to give them a good kick in the ass so that they are going to go for it. If the boss is not there, people don't work. People are only motivated by money. You need to put pressure on people for them to deliver. People don't take initiatives. They don't like it. You need to delegate. They don't do it by themselves. You need to put control on people. This is the X theory. The Y theory says exactly the opposite. People like work by nature. They like to know that they contribute. They like to be autonomous. They like when we give them some responsibilities because they feel important. They are motivated by finding their accomplishments. They are able to motivate themselves. People will naturally collaborate with each other. and they like to feel co-responsible, and they are trusting by nature. Which one is true? There is kind of each of us, we position ourselves into a certain mindset about mankind. I'm not talking about specific individuals. I'm talking about human beings in general. Of course, there are some lazy ones, and of course, there are some motivated ones. But by nature, are human beings naturally more on the X theory or more on the Y theory? So what I'm going to invite you now to do is the first activity is to complete the table, which is on that page, and to rate yourself individually on the 5 different questions. The answer is already inside the people. What is your belief? For you, is it totally wrong? Or is it totally true, or somewhere in between? Absolutely everybody has some potential, at least a bit. Is it totally wrong, or is it totally right, or somewhere in between? And where if in between? The level of trust, when it increases, the relationship is better, and the performance is better when we have a good relationship with people. Do I believe this? Is it totally wrong, totally right, somewhere in between? So for the trust and for the performance. And on the XY theory, where do I stand? Am I more theory X? Am I more theory Y? When I look at human beings, not specific individuals, human beings in general, or am I somewhere in between? So do this exercise for yourself, and in trio, you're going to share your findings and your reflection, and then we'll move to the next topic.